Thank you for your invitation to the International Conference on Fostering Interdisciplinary Collaboration, Challenges, and Opportunities at Rajiv Gandhi College of Engineering, Research, and Technology in Chandrapur, India. What a thrill! I just wish I could be there to meet and congratulate each and every one of you. I'd like to thank Dr. Chitati and the administration for this kind invitation and recognize Chief Patron Vinod Dattatreya, Convener Dr. Rajesh Tombre, Co-Convener Professor Mahesh Boradkar, and everyone else involved. And thank all of you for coming. I'm not quite sure how you found me, but I am a generalist and I do appreciate interdisciplinary studies and collaboration. Maybe interdisciplinary studies are made for those of us with short attention spans. In today's complex world, interdisciplinary collaboration is essential to solving the unprecedented environmental, technological, and societal challenges we all face. No single field has all the answers. For example, tackling climate change requires cooperation between environmental scientists, engineers developing renewable energy, policymakers shaping regulations, and social scientists addressing human behaviors. By bringing diverse expertise together, we create innovative, effective, and holistic solutions that benefit us all. The Rajiv Gandhi College should be commended. Educational institutions play a critical role in fostering interdisciplinary collaboration by offering programs that encourage students to explore beyond traditional disciplinary boundaries. Learning to integrate knowledge from different fields prepares young researchers and professionals to address complex problems skillfully. The ability to think across disciplines, whether combining environmental research with data science, materials engineering, or policy studies, equips you with the versatility needed to innovate and lead in a rapidly changing world. Before we dive into that, let's consider the opposite. I'm thinking about Indian mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan. The man breathed, lived, and died mathematics. His mind was created for math, and he excelled at it in a way that very few people ever have. He worked on number theory, modular forms, and infinite series. He studied in England, coming from Chennai, then Madras, by ship in 1914. There's a wonderful story about Ramanujan and a license plate. One day, British mathematician G.H. Hardy mentioned that he had taken a taxi with the license plate number 1729, which he described as a rather dull number. Ramanujan immediately responded that 1729 was actually a very interesting number. He explained that 1729 is the smallest number that can be expressed as the sum of two cubes in two different ways. This makes 1729 a notable number in number theory and is now known as the Hardy-Ramanujan number. Ramanujan's response showcased his exceptional mathematical intuition and genius. The story highlights his remarkable abilities and his deep understanding of numbers, even when he was out for a stroll on the street. Ramanujan was awarded a Bachelor of Science degree by Research, later renamed PhD, in March 1916 for his work on highly composite numbers. He was also elected as a Fellow of the Royal Society in 1918, becoming the first Indian to receive this honor. Ramanujan's time in England was marked by significant contributions to mathematics, and his collaboration with Hardy remains one of the most notable in mathematical history. It almost didn't happen. Ramanujan had to go against his religious principles to travel to England and further his mathematics work. Luckily, his mother had a dream, and she encouraged him to go, despite their strict religious outlook. Moms can have a big impact, of course. I am not a Ramanujan. For Ramanujan, math was his calling. It was somehow imprinted on his brain and in his being. He did not do well in college in other subjects, knowing those disciplines were for someone else. Not a great interdisciplinarian. If you are driven by a calling, good for you. I'm not here to change you. Most of us are not so lucky. I thought I wanted to be an oceanographer as a kid, or an astronaut, or a baseball player, the American cricket equivalent. Speaking of cricket, Sir Donald Bradman is another prodigy, born to play cricket and only cricket. In high school, I did a report for an environment class on fishing in the Chesapeake Bay. That's our estuary that flows into the Atlantic Ocean. I went out with a fisherman and learned just how productive the pay was in earlier years and how many threats there were now to marine life. And I thought, this is what I want to do, environmental work. Then I had a chance to live in Moscow as a student, living with an American diplomatic family. I saw how the embassy worked and the crazy lifestyle and travel, and I thought, this is what I want to do, diplomatic work. Then I got married, had to make some money, and I went into journalism, since the State Department had not yet recognized how much I could contribute to American foreign policy. I did that for 6 years. I did a lot of environmental stories, so I stuck to my interest overall, and once I did get into the State Department, I had environmental assignments, and I thought, this is what I want to do, diplomatic environmental work. And I did. Polar Affairs Officer, Nuclear Affairs Officer, Science Fellow. It was all coming together, and the State Department even started a new Environment, Science, and Technology career track. Great. I thought, I'm set. Then I went to the U.S. Embassy Moscow. An embassy is, in itself, an interagency and interdisciplinary entity. There's cooperation among different agencies from State Department to the FBI to Defense Department. Experts from varied domains work collaboratively towards common goals. My job in Moscow was rather specialized. They said I would be an environment officer, but switched the assignment. I was not to be environment officer, but rather nuclear affairs officer. And I thought, wait a minute. I was really interested in polar bears and Arctic and Antarctic policy and conserving forests. And I resisted. The embassy said, no, sorry, that's the way it is. And I realized being nuclear affairs officer is the biggest environmental job there is. And that was the case. It was a great portfolio, and I learned a lot about the nuclear fuel cycle, fission and fusion energy, and the possibilities for cooperation on nuclear issues. At that time, we were buying highly enriched uranium from Russia and burning it in U.S. nuclear plants after it was blended into low-enriched uranium. A very successful program called megatons to megawatts. It provided billions of dollars to Russia and enough low-enriched uranium to power American nuclear plants for years. The program was crafted by scientists, policymakers, and diplomats. Quite a heavy interdisciplinary achievement. Then the State Department did away with the science track, so I was back to square one. I had to be flexible. They said I could choose any career track: economic, political, public diplomacy, management, consular. I went for political and took leadership assignments in Tajikistan, Vladivostok, and the Marshall Islands. It was a pivot, but it worked. I still found environmental issues to work on, like climate change in the Marshall Islands, where sea level rise threatens the entire nation. But I also worked on sports diplomacy, American citizens issues, and trade, sometimes all in the same day. I really had to use an interdisciplinary playbook. Space is another great venue for interdisciplinary collaboration. Think about India's space program. Abhishek Raju, co-founder and managing director of SatSure, emphasizes that space is a multidisciplinary subject, requiring generalists who can adapt and learn quickly, alongside specialists. India's space program requires expertise from various fields to achieve its ambitious goals, including space technology and sciences, combining engineering, physics, and computer science to develop launch vehicles, satellites, and spacecraft. Remote sensing and geospatial analysis, integrating geography, geology, and environmental science to interpret satellite data. Communication and navigation, applying telecommunications, electronics, and computer networks to develop satellite-based systems. Life sciences and microgravity research, collaborating with biologists, physicists, and engineers to study microgravity effects on living organisms. And materials science and propulsion, combining materials engineering, physics, and chemistry to develop advanced propulsion systems. The Indian Space Research Organization fosters interdisciplinary collaboration through university partnerships, encouraging students to work on space-related projects and research, internships and training programs, providing hands-on experience for young scientists and engineers, interdisciplinary research centers, facilitating collaboration among experts from diverse fields. This interdisciplinary approach has led to significant milestones, such as the Chandrayaan-3 lunar mission and the Mars Orbiter mission. In the U.S., the success of the space program wasn't just interdisciplinary, but interracial. Some of the most critical contributions came from African American women who had been excluded from science in the past. Now, there are NASA buildings named in their honor. Despite the benefits of interdisciplinary collaboration, there will be pressure on you in your career to stay in your lane. That was certainly the case for Andrei Sakharov, father of the Soviet hydrogen bomb. Sakharov recognized the danger to the environment from nuclear testing, and he spoke out. He could have stayed in his physics lane, as Soviet authorities tried to coerce him to do. He had a very privileged life, but instead he campaigned for environmental stewardship and then human rights, and he won a Nobel Prize. Did you ever read the advice columns? We had one the other day in the local paper. It read, "Dear Annie, my 23-year-old graduated from college 2 years ago and has been unemployed ever since. He earned a degree in a competitive field, but has not had any luck landing a job in his chosen profession. While we understand that finding the right opportunity can take time, we are growing increasingly concerned. Signed, Worried Mom." Annie, our advice columnist, said, "Dear Worried Mom, you are right to be concerned. A 2-year gap on a resume, especially in those early post-grad years, can be hard to explain later. While it's admirable that your son wants to pursue work in his chosen field, his refusal to take any job in the meantime is short-sighted and frankly self-sabotaging." But what if her son is another Ramanujan or Nikola Tesla? That's why advice from anyone, me, your mom, dear Annie, is a very tricky thing. When you get to a certain age, not your age, my age, you tend to stop taking advice from anyone because you know you've gone down too many wrong roads. In the end, though, you should listen to your friends, your teachers, your parents, and then respectfully, you have to listen to the person who has to live with your decisions. You. I always liked the phrase jack of all trades, but I wasn't too keen on the follow-on, master of none. I would like to be a master of one subject. So far, I'm still working on it. I enjoy flying, have a pilot's license, scuba. I have a certificate for that too. Martial arts, I had a few colored belts, never a black one. Maybe the goal is jack of all trades, master almost of some trades. In school, you take tests. There are right and wrong answers. In life, there are tests, but there are not always clear right or wrong answers. Mark Twain said, an American writer, making good decisions comes from experience, and experience comes from making bad decisions. We all learn the hard way. I wish I could give you shortcuts, but all I can offer you is courage. Have the courage to do what you think is right, and when you are wrong, make a correction, get back on course, and do what you can to make the world a better place. Now, here's my challenge to you. Take up one new thing, new language, learn to cook. Take a class out of your comfort zone. I told my wife Kathy about this challenge to you, and she said, "Well, what's your new thing?" So the pressure is on. Let me know what you do to add a new tool to your toolbox, and I'll come up with something new too. I challenge each of you to embrace an interdisciplinary mindset by stepping beyond your comfort zones. Take a course outside your primary field. Learn a new skill, or collaborate on a project involving different disciplines. This approach will enrich your perspective and enhance your problem-solving skills. Excuse my cat. Young researchers who adopt interdisciplinary practices are poised to become the innovators and leaders, driving solutions for global challenges in science, technology, environment, and society. Courage and curiosity are your greatest assets. Thank you for your attention. Congratulations on your latest magnificent achievement. Build on it and see where life takes you. Thanks so much.